Welcome back to the BDTV Breakfast Show. My name is Elizabeth and I'm still with Mr. Mohammed Akonji here on the BDTV Breakfast Show. We will be going to look at our newspaper review here and we're starting with the Punch. The Punch today has a big story. It says inside story, how Aubrey's intrigued power play sealed Obasa's fate. And the writer here says Deputy Speaker Miranda sworn in as Lagos' first female speaker. Sanwo-Olu claims innocence. That's the big story here on the Punch. At the top left, it says again, Boko Haram strikes in Borno, kills 40 and abducts scores. And this is still on insecurity. We spoke about this yesterday. Page 22 has port rehabilitation delayed despite $700 million loan. Page 21 says tariff hike. Telcos, ICT firms owe banks 1.69 trillion naira. And page 21 has this. It says depots raise petrol price to 950 naira per liter. Now, this is in light of we talking about fuel price normalizing and all of that. On the bottom left says coronation date fixed as Alafin designate gets staff of office. Page 4 and 5 says gospel singer arrested with severe core members head in Nasarawa. We'll talk about this on social listening now. Page 17 says tax bills. Senate meets federal government team and plans public hearing. Well, I want us to start with the big story here on the Punch, which says intrigues, power play, sealed Obasa's fate. I know you have a lot to say about it, so
okay.
I'm just going to let you do your thing.
Okay, thank you. So, I think we mentioned it during the top news stories analysis, and it was actually like the top story that happened in the nation yesterday. So there is an inside explainer, a detailed analysis that was actually done by Punch about how, because at the time, so the man was seen as an emperor in himself. So there was a timeline of activities that he actually provided that eventually led to his removal from his impeachment yesterday, as we saw. So first, there was a report that, so if you may remember, now first of all, this man came into the house in 2007 to represent Agege constituency.
Which man are we talking about?
I'm talking about the speaker removed, Obasa.
Okay.
The impeached speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, came in 2007, and he has been the speaker. So he emerged the speaker in 2015, and since then he has been speaker for close to about 10 years now. He has actually been the speaker of the house, but he has so that is one. Secondly, was that recently so there is this Governance Advisory Council in Lagos. The Governance Advisory Council is like the highest policy making when it comes to appointing, electing, and picking who will be the governor of Lagos State. So they've had some complaints that they've laid when the president was here in Lagos in December during the Christmas break that the president came for. So there was an inside report that he came to the president and telling him about how this man has saw himself as an emperor. There were reports about when they came to present the budget, in 2025 budget, how he delayed them for almost 5-6 hours. How he has been a bit unruly to the governor. There were reports where there is an act of, accused of insubordination towards the governor of Lagos State. But maybe the straw that broke the camel back was what happens at that budget presentation. A lot of snippets and the snippet of what he said there started going around since yesterday. So November 21 last year, when the governor went to present that budget, instead of really talking about the budget, he veered off the line and he was started talking about his ambition for 2027. We started hearing him saying, it's not as if he's not as qualified as those that have ruled Lagos State in the past. Reports flying around saying that no one is actually more qualified than himself when it comes to taking over the mantle of leadership in Lagos, and that he's been trying to be able to align his name to the Obasas in Ojo. Now, remember, I came from Agege. There were reports of all those. So he was saying those by himself that these are things that even though it's not time for politicking yet, he has not announced his intention to be able to run for the governorship seat. But some of those things that are flying around, is that clear? in different quarters about that he's going to run or he's not going to run, and that this and that. So in fact, when I listened to it myself, I was a bit shocked because remember, this is a budget presentation house. It was actually a budget presentation proceeding, and then veered up a little bit, started talking about that. So when the president came, there was a Daily Trust also be able to do that. So the president came, the GAC, as I said, they call it Governance Advisory Council. So one of the head of that is the man called Alhaji Tajuddin Olusi, who led the member of that council. So it is the council that tends to be able to make decision on who will be the next governor of Lagos on the platform of the APC normally. So it's just like we have different groups under APC. So this GAC is a very powerful block. They are the ones that are able to show. They are different reports in different quarters that they were responsible for the removal of Ambode during the second term, and that for suggesting or for recommending Sanwo-Olu to Jagaban, as the governor of Lagos State, and that allowed him to be able to run the second term. Yeah. So those issues were there. So they complained about him to the president, complained about how he has turned the Lagos State House of Assembly into his kind of his domain, and where he can be able to do whatever. So that's one. Another thing they said recently, he made that there was a bill sponsored about scrapping the LCDAs. Remember, we have local governments.
Yes.
Then we have the local council development areas.
Yes,
that was the one that sponsored a bill to scrap those LCDs, whatever intention he has with that, and that didn't sit well with a lot of people.
Okay.
That how could you? These have actually been very, very pivotal. I mean, these LCDs have been very pivotal to socioeconomic development of Lagos State. So maybe he has his cup full, but in the final analysis there were reports from quarters that maybe he's a bad student of history. Why did I say that?
Why are you saying that?
Because people in the past that have attempted to be able to go shoulder to shoulder with Tinubu in Lagos, we all know what ended them. Look at during this time, 2 deputy governors were removed while he was the governor of Lagos State. The woman deputy governor then, Madam Kofowala Bokna, was removed when she attempted to be able to be a woman of her own and allow to go to her life. During the second term of the same person, Femi Pedro, it was a very popular name, was also removed. Sanwo-Olu, when he's trying to be able to become a man of himself, was not given second term. And that's what people say there is a bad. So these are antecedents that have happened to people that have attempted to be able to checkmate. Because that statement about, I'm going to be able to run the name of Obasa and things like that, people were seeing it as an affront to Tinubu, because that name was actually being used as a propelling force to get into the Marina House. So you making that assertion, that I'm going to be able to run in Abasa, that he has not been going to Ikoyi or someplace, Oniru, to go and align with them to be able to be the governor of Lagos. So, and those are the hubris. So that's what about the hubris. Hubris is that, that pride they've seen in him and intrigues. And of course, there have been cases, and that's why Sanwo-Olu was there. So cases about confrontation between himself and the governor. He has never been the one to be able to give the governor, even though in the pages, even though in public you hear him saying, the governor, there have been reports where he has had face-off, confrontations with the governor. Not least, we all remember the case of the commissioner in 2023. In fact, he rejected the list that was submitted by Sanwo-Olu. Sanwo-Olu submitted the commissioner list to the House of Assembly. And this man said, no, you'll not be able to, railroll us to be able to approve the list of commissioners that you appointed. So I think those have actually been the issues. And in days ahead, but remember, when impeachment was done yesterday, there were reports that he's not. So he was accused of financial malfeasance or statutory infractions to the tune of about 43.5 billion naira. That was the allegation. Because why he was removed, a lot of people believe that was this more politics or more substance? The substance fact, gross misconduct. Was that the reason why he was removed? The issues are still out there. So people that are very vast in Lagos politics, some are lining more that it's more political move. Why some are saying it as, this is what was done. But if that truly was, because now if he comes back now, we expect that maybe by the end of the day he should be back because of what has happened. He's still a floor member, don't forget. It's not like he's been moved out of the house. He's just been impeached.
Okay, still he's just impeached floor as a member.
So, but if those allegations are substantive enough, we expect the FCC to swing into action and ask questions. 43.5 billion, that could have been the budget of Lagos State some
That's
years
a lot
past.
of money.
Thank you. It's not, we're not talking about millions here.
A whole lot of money.
Let's say 43.5. That's almost like a budget of Lagos sometimes some years ago. So but remember, so they said this money was used, like I said earlier, to buy backed up vehicles for the lawmakers. So these are the same lawmakers, you can see them.
Of course.
Of course, we also have them there. These are the same lawmakers that they said he bought vehicles from. And they're the ones that went back and were impeaching. You know, it is not adding up.
Yeah.
That was the allegation. 43.5 billion to buy backup vehicles for lawmakers. Whether they are the ones that are buying the backup, what do they know of backup vehicles? Okay. It's like those things that they are moving with. We don't know what it means. But it's still the same people that went out yesterday unanimously. They are not even, you know, the only opposition to it came from his own constituency in Agege, who maybe when they heard about it quickly rushed down to Alausa, and we saw that they were arrested. As you can be able to see the Black Mariah, they were arrested and saying we are APC youth. Yeah, because they arrested them because they just be able to station this there when they wanted to be able to force their way into the Lagos State House of Assembly. The Black Mariah with that inscription brought them, and they got arrested. And they were saying we are APC youth. They are his own constituents. You know, youth from Agege who quickly rushed down there, maybe to see what if they can be able to put a stop to what they were doing. But nevertheless, Madam Mojisola emerged yesterday. She is, as of this morning,
she is the
speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, and we know that a lot of things will still unfold. We have not
definitely. I'm looking forward to so many of the drama
that will actually be able to happen. So true. Secondly, we heard about the depot raise prices. I think I woke up, I saw that this morning, and I am really, really hopeful, and I am really, really banking on your hope and your expectations. So we just had that depot prices again was 903 naira, 899. That depot, that's not at the fuel station.
Yeah,
so that's what it's more or less like saying where they buy it, more or less like saying you are buying from the warehouse, where they are going to be able to truck it to the pumps. So as of yesterday was 900 naira. Most of them, so wake up this morning, they said they have all of them are adjusted their pump
prices
to 950 naira per liter. So which is more or less like that's like the cost of production, purchase price. So
that means that the fuel stations
and the pump prices might likely because we don't know.
Dangote
is still normal. Dangote is still 899 naira, but other pumps, I mean, what's it called? Punch mentioned some selected pumps that they visited, and they saw that they've adjusted the depots. I'm talking about the depot, which is more or less like your warehouse where you get the fuel from. They've adjusted their prices.
But you're still banking on my hope, yeah?
I'm very, very hopeful. So they were saying, what's the reason? The price of oil, rose to about steadied to about $80 per barrel.
Okay.
So oil has increased in international markets. And because remember that the market is actually following that force of demand and supply. So that's what forced a lot of them. So because it means that oil prices has gone to the international market, the cost of what they get to has also increased. And that is what pushed some of them to increase this. So that's one. I think yesterday we talked about I thought
we want to talk about the telcos, the ICT firms, owing banks.
Owing banks. I think I was thinking about the video I talked about initially. So the Minister of Digital Economy, Bosun, exactly, was one that made that announcement yesterday. In an attempt, we are expecting anytime soon this recent increase in data and call cost. It has been on since December. And it's going to be increased by 100%. So the present prevailing economic environment cannot allow them to be able to carry on the operations. So that's what Bosu was trying to be able to justify, that increment might be needed. But to how long, to how much, by what rate would it increase our call costs and our data costs? I'm sure they have been following Twitter and social media blogging. I've been saying that one gig would be this amount. I don't also mention that, but it was crazy. And he has come out to be able to douse that. People are still saying it's going to be like around 40% increase, and that would be crazy. So hopefully, we're expecting that should be imminent.
Do you actually? Okay. I want to ask this question. Do you actually track how much call and data cost? How much you make? How much expenses you make on calls?
Okay,
weekly or monthly? Okay. Do you also track how much expenses you make on data weekly or perhaps monthly?
So. Of course, I mean,
if you want to, no, I don't do.
You don't. Okay.
To be honest, it's bad, but
okay.
It's just a whole lot. I don't like when it's done. Okay, it's not a good thing. It's
I don't know. So
the way
because now what I'm
I
saying here
live.
is why people
So
could now be able
I
to
want to
now
just know
act averagely.
on an average, how much do you spend
So
on
okay, so on
data?
the average weekly, I use like about 10 gig, 10 gig.
That's little.
I think I use 10
Wow.
gig by myself, but with home around 20 gig because we're subscribed to my broadband. And I'm talking about on my phone.
Yes.
Maybe 10 gig on a weekly basis. Then averagely now, the price of 1 gig. Let's just look at that now. The price of 1 gig on the average is between 250 and 500 naira, depending on the network you're using for a gig. So there was a report going to go to 100% at a time. So meaning that we buy 1 gig for like 1,003, from say 1,003, 1,004. Though the minister came out to douse the tension and then relieve that pressure that it's not going to be, but that there will be increment. So that's for that. For the core costs, it's actually charged pay as you go and it's on prepaid plan. So I think that we prepaid and a postpaid plan. Some companies have postpaid plan where at the end of the month we just be able to give them the bills. But on prepaid, so it depends on the plans that you have as well. So depending, but on the average, it's between 25 kobo per second to I think 1 naira 20 kobo.
Okay.
That's actually the range. So because it's the data and voice calls, that according to them will actually be replaced. So, but the reason why they want to do that, as I said, is about the telcos are owing banks 1.6 trillion naira, 1.7 trillion in operational costs that they are owing banks. So if we don't, according to him, if we don't want them to be able to close shop and grind to a halt, I'm talking about the telcos.
Yes.
Possible increment is expected. But is that what Nigerians need now? With the raft of challenges we are facing.
I know, right? But one thing I
a
know about
reality.
Nigerians will always adjust.
Again.
That's
So
one thing about
the
Nigerians.
announcement has not been made, but it's becoming imminent every day. Exactly. We kept getting closer to it.
I mean, with telcos rather and ICT firms owing
banks.
1.6 trillion
That's about
naira,
1.7 trillion naira.
it's most likely.
No, because their excuse for owing that was because of they're not getting value for money from what they are offering, and they needed to be able to increase. So the telcos and those firms, ICT firms that are owing this, claim that they are not getting value for money from the services they are offering.
Providing
service provision. So that's what they're asking for.
Owing?
They are offering the services, they are not getting enough money in returns. So they are asking for increase in the tariff rates.
Okay. So then they can make enough money so that they can offset.
That was the argument that's been on. Offset whatever they're actually owing the banks. So the minister was the one coming out now to tell us why there will be a tariff hike. Why the tariff hike will be justified. As I said, the tariff hike is just for data and for voice calls.
Okay.
So it has not been announced yet, the actual amount, sorry, but it's becoming imminent and inevitable every day. That's becoming imminent and inevitable.
Let's talk about insecurity. Now, Boko Haram strikes in Borno and kills 40.
Yesterday,
yes,
right?
And that was
Zamfara, right? Yesterday,
Zamfara or
that's
Nasarawa,
casualties.
Yes. But now this is
it's the military that attacked.
Yes, the military attacked the base, and then it affected about 16 civilians
that were killed.
But now Boko Haram strikes in Borno and kills 40 and abducts scores. That's like up to 20.
20s, and then those numbers.
Last year, 2024, we were having conversations about how insecurity has sort of piped
down a little.
But it seems like this year we're getting recurring news about all of these things happening. So I'm wondering, are we being faced, or were we just distracted a little bit last year?
I keep saying that. So at different fora, the Chief of Defense Staff, Christopher Musa, CG Musa, in fact said, there was a time he said 167,000 of them have surrendered, of Boko Haram members have surrendered to them. But Boko Haram is a splinter group as well. There's the Swap, there's the Boko Haram, there's another group as well. Then you have the Lakurawa group as well, who extended out of that. But when this happened is in Borno, because the governor of Borno, Zulum, made an announcement that was in 2023 about how to be able to resettle, the displaced Maiduguri people, Borno people, back to their villages and their settlements and their towns. And that was actually quite successful. You see the effort he put into it in resettling the displaced people as a result of insecurity back. So, but when this happened, so all we heard about this was actually farmers that were killed. They were reported there were farmers who went to the farm, and the Boko Haram members that came to attack them on their farm, not actually in the town, said that it's only a time, they have not given them permission to farm. So, in the report, if you had what they mentioned there, some of those that escaped, but they were even someone with a gunshot wound that was trying to narrate their experience, so that they came to them on their farm, started telling them, where did you get the permission to farm? Even though the governor has actually been able to say everywhere is safe, farmers should return back to farm in an attempt to be able to, cushion the food insecurity challenge that we've actually been facing. So that was actually what transpired and led to that. And those deaths that was actually recorded and those that were eventually abducted, there are some other numbers that are still looking for, but it's really just becoming one too many.
Yes.
And then we just hope that
I hope that
to have a hang of this
in no time we get
the reality is just going
reduced.
against. Even 167,000 has actually repented, and there's a claim that there is aerial and land bombardment. They constantly bombard them at their hideout and try to be able to smoke them out. And you still be able to have them still having this upper hand. There's still a more to it that really meets the eye, that we really need to know. And then we know that to be able to solve food, because remember, these are farmers. The people that even attacked are not even farmers that they attacked, telling them you have no license, no permission from us to be able to embark on the farming activities.
And to be honest, I think that we don't even know half of it, being in the West, like where we are. Because the reality of it, because I get conversations sometimes, messages sometimes from some of my friends and contacts that are not in this that are not
in the West. Okay, they're not here with us. Okay.
Yeah, and
South.
they say that
was it there?
They say that the media is not doing enough justice. Like it's like every time.
So it's worse more than
news,
that.
Yes, that every time they were just sharing the news, it's like we're not even shining a light to the things that are truly happening, because it's truly terrible. So I think this is just even a tiny fraction of what is actually going on, and I think it's very unfortunate. Something needs to be done about the insecurity in Nigeria, because we can't have this insecurity on the rise. We can't have the Boko Haram and all these people still having a strong.
That's way.
In the.
So that's what I'm saying. That the numbers is just becoming endless. Their numbers. You understand? The numbers just becoming endless from their end. Where are they really flushing out from? Maybe there are some external forces, of course. Internally, their recruitment. Because at the time we're looking at cut off the recruitment network, try to be able to adjust socio-economic indicators that could be an attraction point for people.
It seems like they are really they're reinforcing
exactly. So where are they coming from? Is it from internal or from external sources as well?
It's more, like you said, there's more to it than meets the eyes.
So it is really believable when we have that as well. And the governor himself, because at the time, so people are trying to be able to say, no, maybe it is not true. But the governor came out through his spokesperson to be able to commiserate with the families and the people in that village where it happened.
I think citizens are truly tired of commiserations. Like, we're tired of
actions.
You want actions. People's lives are being lost. We're tired of every other day you're seeing statements, releases. Oh, my heart goes, our hearts goes out, thoughts and prayers. Everyone is tired. We're talking about lives here. But you know what? Let's move to the Vanguard and see what's on the front page today. The big story here says 21 million housing gap. 5 trillion naira needed for 2.7 million new houses annually for 10 years. 21 million housing gap. That's a huge one. And the writer says abandoned housing projects all over Nigeria. Developers blame insecurity for abandoned housing projects. 20 more, I've said that already. 21 million more houses needed. Houses being built for those who already have homes. That's a problem. Federal government is planning to deliver 50,000 units. What government should do? This one was by Ashimolowo, then adds what he thinks that the government should do. But then for me, 21 million housing gap is a lot, and you even need 5 trillion naira for 2.7 million new houses. And if there are people that have 10 houses, right? There are people that have 5 houses, there are people that have 15 houses, and there are people, there's homelessness on the rise. So if we have this housing gap, but then we have people that have several houses, and then they're still building more. And then we have homeless people. If you are around on the street, you see the bridge, you see people
several people lying
there.
Wondering they sleep here over the night.
So sad. You
see people outside us here
at
Mobolaji Johnson Road here. I think it was this morning when I was going to mosque to pray. I just saw two people who were lying down,
And look,
and
you
really
there. Just want.
And I was like, did you sleep over here? And in fact, the person was in crutches.
Yes.
Just be able to put the crutches by the side and just lie on those. And
you are filled with so much compassion because you think about it. We've been talking about the Amatan season starting again. You know how cold it is, and you see these people on the bridge.
Oh my God.
Lying down. With
no
clothes. They don't even have a cover cloth. They don't even have.
Imagine those bridges
you be under your duvet. You close the windows. You still say that it's cold.
It's cold, and then
they're out there. And then we are talking about housing gap, and then there are people that houses are being built for those who already have homes.
So this number, I need to be able to put some perspective to it.
Yes.
So I remember at the time in LBS, the former Minister of Housing, Raji Fashola, former Lagos State Governor, was in Housing there. Because as at then, the UNDP claimed that there was 17 million before it became 21 million. Like there was 17 million housing gap. And he was even questioning that is not true because of all these abandoned houses that we have around and things. He was saying that because he said he traveled, he looked around and said, these are houses that are available here. So what is happening? Okay, things to that regard. But I think this is just an inside analysis that was actually done by Vanguard to be able to give us a sense of the housing deficit that we have in the nation. And how many number of houses, 2.7 million houses, we need to be constructed every year. Have you new houses? Annually, of course. To be able to meet up that gap of the 21 million.
Can we truly build 2.7 million new
remember,
houses?
This is just a projection and analysis.
That's a lot.
That's a very
let's look at this one. This
one
catches my eye. I must say I really like the spread today on the Vanguard newspaper. This one says federal government raises inmates feeding to 1,125 naira per day. First of all, my first comment is really maybe 5 years ago. I think maybe I don't know, but I think that's like 5 years late because if you want to these days, I don't know what does it take to eat
feed 1,000.
It's 1,000. Does 1,000 really do the job? Like on an average, really these days.
Okay.
Let's say we're just talking about eating from the roadside.
But you remember this is per day. This is morning, afternoon, night.
Oh my God!
There's not morning here.
Oh, per day.
So I know you're looking at
I was talking about a meal per meal.
So because it was 750. Because the question was, remember it was even 750. If not because some of the senators, hanged out and then tried to be able to challenge the National Correction Service director, the general. They come to like, okay, that even their dogs. I think they're feeding the dogs for 800.
125 now. Why can't they round? Why can't they make it a round figure?
So when it was specific to the budget, I know. Okay, this is just like an average. How much each person per day? They multiply by the total number of the prisoners that we have there. So I know it's disheartening because we had a case where the dogs, because now if it's because of the grouse that they raised from the budget performance of 2024 that they raised it from 750 to 2,000 to 1,125 naira. It's really, really sad anyway. It is. And that's why sometimes when people complain about the quality of food, exactly, the quality of food that they have there, it's really, really unimaginable. Because just like you said, even just one meal, sit down one meal, how much 1,125?
I was even thinking about a meal per day.
In fact, they were even basking yesterday there. This is an increment. This is like, because they're saying they have done about a 50% increase for them to be able to have this amount from what it was, to what it is. Then I think the PDP case that you did.
But we need to truly quickly go to the business day newspaper. But this one up on the Vanguard paper says 2025 budget, no end in sight, national grid collapse. We said that yesterday as well, and no end in sight. So we will keep getting this.
One of the ministers, I don't know, was just saying because of the state of those infrastructure. The minister said that yesterday.
That's really
Mr. Adelabu, about that we are not likely going to be able to see the end of that yet. It's still going to be
really sad. And this one also says federal government to blacklist 18 banks owing telcos almost 200 billion naira.
Those telcos that we mentioned.
Yes, those ones we mentioned.
About the tariff hike is what they feel is the only way, instead of blacklisting them, maybe they should be able to do tariff hike, and that would allow them to be able to get into that space.
Right. Business Day newspaper today, which is where we are. Business Day, on the front page of the Business Day newspaper today, the big story here says Naira defies dollar as emerging market currencies slide. I love that. I love how defiant the headline is as well. You know, I like how this is very strong. It says Naira defies dollar as emerging market currencies slide. Well, this is really good.
Last week, all the major currencies in the world struggled against the dollar. It's always going to happen like that. The first quarter of the year, only Naira actually be able to gain strength. It was unbelievable anyway. So these are some of the dynamics that can happen. If you check them, most of the major currencies in the world, over pounds, the euros, even those other ones, then Zimbabwean rand, Kenyan shilling, they all struggle against the dollar. It was actually the reality that we noticed last year. I'm sure in the first week of January, actually, just for the first week of January, that this report is actually done. How that has actually been, the central bank said maybe some of the twin policies they introduced last year, the FM policy, where they try to be able to harmonize the market, and because of the base factor, the Naira is already at a higher state already. So going beyond there is actually considered, it's more or less like saying it has actually been able to reach its pinnacle. So in Gaza, you see that, in fact, the Naira even gained strength between yesterday and today at the NAFEM. Okay, there's a NAFEM market.
Yeah, the NAFEX market.
Then you have the parallel market. You have the parallel market, or the gap has closed. The Naira still be able to gain strength as a result of that. And that is unconnected to the increase in the price of oil. But if we have our listeners go through the content of the article, the paper, you see how some of those other major currencies, how they have struggled, right, over the intervening. Because the Naira has actually tried to be able to maintain is 1,585 Naira for the first week.
So that means that Naira is performing fairly well.
We're just talking about 1 week analysis.
1 week analysis.
So let's be careful.
Let's be careful.
Our hopes so high.
I always like to raise my hopes.
It's good.
Very.
Let us raise it so high. So we're only talking about the first week of 2025 and how currencies has performed. So a lot of dynamics will happen. These are intraday things. A lot of things happen between. The fact that we saw that week yesterday,
anything can happen in the next
so it's just like
few
those
hours,
first week, the Naira tried to be able to maintain its stance and then defies those because a lot of activities are just picking up this week. Remember, even globally. So that's the reason why other activities in other currencies struggled a little bit against.
But let's look at this one quickly, then go to the cartoon of the day. Healthcare costs pushed Nigerians to poverty, just as
the cost of all those things
expected.
They said going to hospital now costs you an arm and a leg to do that. Someone was telling me, what is the cost of this thing I used to buy? Asthma, some of these are asthma pump, the asthmatic patient. Some of those are pumps. And we're saying, was it not 5,000 2 years ago, 2023? That as a last year, it has gone to about 18,000 or 21,000. So I'm sure it's a reality as well.
It's a
so it
sad
just touch base. It touches virtually everywhere. All the different segments of the economy has been heavily affected by that.
To wrap up our Business Day newspaper review today, let's look at what the cartoon of the day is saying. The cartoon of the day is always very interesting. We always have truly interesting pictorial representation of some of the things happening. This one says stop. So what do we have here? We have, is that a well or a pool?
That's what I would be.
No.
It's like a well.
Is that a well or a pool? It's like
the
people
pool
in some water.
Yeah,
so it's a pool. The pool of hunger and insecurity. So you can see skulls, dead skulls, and then you can see people crying for help, trying to get out of the water. So basically, they're trying to get out of the pool of hunger. Then you have the man on the left. Who did you call that? I don't know. You said that. So then it says, "Stop sending me death threat messages." And then you have the other man in the APC man, obviously with the hat. It says, "Me too. I have death threat messages." But then these people are up there, and then the people down are screaming for help, and they don't really care about those people that are screaming for
very
crying for help. In the pool of hunger and insecurity, they are talking about death threat message. That's a very powerful.
I mean, it's a fallout of what happened last week. Remember, Peter Obi came out, the APC national. I think we talked about that here.
We spoke about it.
So I think it was the death threat that was actually not unconnected to that. So the statement made by he has what is coming for him, and then Peter will be coming out and say that it is a death threat. But why they actually exchanging death threat or no death threat? Look at our Nigerians,
are struggling
to be able to put their head above water, while some are already sunk into the water already. You can see skulls and then dead in that pool of hunger and trying to be able to put themselves out of it. So I think it's actually a very important one.
That's a very strong message. It has a very strong message.
Strong message. But yes, why those messages can actually be very important. The people that matters, the people that matter at the end of the day are struggling to be able to keep themselves out of the pool of hunger and poverty, that are kept to be able to bamboozle, that kept to be able to compress and suppress them to the level unexpected. So
I hope the people that need to see these messages see them, because they definitely see it.
They definitely hope they'll be able to see it.
They need to take action. Action must be taken.
This is actually important. That this is definitely important for Nigerians and for us to actually how Nigerians are actually struggling day by day. But I just, like I said, as we started with, I would try to be able to recline towards the hope, and we hope that people will be able to get out of the water.
Keep your hope strong for the year 2025. This year, what's the mantra for this year? There's a mantra for this year.
Day for you.
Yeah, I think that's the mantra.
That's the people's mantra. But the government mantra is the restoration.
Restoration.
The government has its own restoration.
So there's a lot of
mantra
hope.
Is day for you.
There's a lot of hope there. But I think there's another one. It's not just day for you. I'll share with you when I remember.
No problem, it's fine.
But thank you so much for joining me here today on the newspaper review. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. And thank you to our viewers for staying with us today on the newspaper review. Just stay with us. We'll be right back.